and see or talk about the systems approach. You have heard this term before. We will be using it very, very profoundly during this course. What is the systems approach? Well, a complete system can be composed by itself by a range of other systems. Here are systems at the beginning, at the end, or there can be several systems inside it. Actually, when you see, for example, an organizational chart, you might find that sometimes a department includes several processes, or in other cases, a process includes several departments. So it's not that a process is something that can be checked out alone. No, you must be pliable, you must be able to think in relative terms and always think, what is the definition of a process? A set of activities that work in tandem to produce a result. Remember, our definition of a process covers a sequence of activities with a common purpose that transforms information, materials into products or services. And it will help us to think that it has 9 elements. The first 3 have to do with the input side of the equation. That is, inputs, suppliers, and input specifications. Then we have the transformation side of the business. Activities, owner, frontier. And finally, we have the output side. Outputs, clients, and output specifications. So, when we think about a process, we always think in terms of these 3 groups. Inputs, activities, and outputs. Our outputs are our results. Now, what is the relationship between a client and a supplier? Well, it's very simple. The output of the supplier is the input for the client. So, for the supplier, the client is the one who demands its outputs. For the client, the supplier is the one who gives him the inputs. But for the client, they, in their own sense, they also have their own clients. So it depends on which part of the process you are on. You might be a supplier, you might be a client. So now let's talk a little bit about process methodology and performance levels. When we talk about a process in industrial terms, there are many levels that we can see things regarding our process. At the highest level, that's where we don't know anything about what's going on. The process hasn't been documented. We know that something's happening, but we don't know what. There are no measurements. What do we need to do then? Well, first we need to document the process. We need to define performance measures, and then we need to establish client and supplier meetings, working towards the quality with our quality improvement team, QIT. Okay. At the highest level, we don't know anything about it, what is going on. Then we go on to the next level. Yes, on the level 4, we know something about the process. Now we have our graph. Mm? Measurements are done nearly randomly. Mm? We have no working method to be spoken of yet. What do we need to do? Well, first we start correcting based on the measurements that we're taking. Even if they're few, but at least we're being able to do something. Mm? We need to document our process improvements. Mm? We need to develop our QIT meetings, quality improvement teams meetings, and we need to continue measuring. When we are in level 3 of the methodology, the process starts to show consistency. It doesn't mean that the results are good. Wait a second. Just that we're producing consistently. That is the first thing that we need to work on. Once we produce consistently, we will start adjusting our products towards making it consistently good. But first we work on consistency. It indicates that we already have a working method. We keep on correcting, we keep on documenting, we continue to measure, and we start to compare against other processes, benchmarking. And we incorporate technology as needed. When we're in level 2, okay, the process starts to show really improvements in results. It reduces the number of defects. We keep on doing what we're doing. We keep on documenting improvements. We continue measuring. We do more benchmarking. And we learn not to tighten specifications much more than necessary. Finally, when we are at level 1 of the methodology, things go the way we want. And we just keep it that way. The difference, if we're going to use, for example, an example of a cook. A domestic cook sometimes gets a very nice plate, and sometimes the results are not so good. Yes, he works, he cooks for his family, whatever, but results are so aleatory. For an industrial chef, he always gets what he wants in exactly the manner and with the specifications that he decides. If you don't like it, that's another matter. But the food that this chef cooks comes out exactly as he wants, when he wants. Why? Because he's a master. He knows all the different parameters that are involved in cooking his plates, so he doesn't make mistakes. He produces exactly what he wants, and he produces consistently every single day, every single week, every single month, every single year, day in, day out. Try to think, for example, what would happen if your Coke didn't taste exactly the same every time that you open it? You wouldn't want to buy Coke again. And that's what happened with the new Coke formula. But that's another story. Our lesson will continue in the next video.